So if you spend a lot of time processing firewood, taking trees down, cutting it into rounds, splitting that up, the last thing you want to do is waste any of that material. So today I'm going to show you what I do to sort out my firewood and how I more efficiently use what I've cut up. So the first thing you need to determine is what is your firewood going to be used for? And for us, our primary use is to heat our home. So that already gives us two criteria that we need to consider: length and quality. We can't fit firewood that's any longer than about 19 inches in length into our wood stove. And I don't want to spend a lot of time loading my wood stove over and over because I put low quality stuff in there. But the wood that doesn't meet that criteria doesn't need to go to waste, because we have plenty of outdoor uses for our firewood as well. We use it for campfires when we're camping out on our property. We use it for outdoor cooking and grilling, boiling sap to make walnut and maple syrup, and we use it to burn out old tree stumps in the yard. And even this last spring, we used it to keep the fruit buds on our fruit trees from freezing so we could save this last year's crop. So with that many uses, I don't want any of it to go to waste. So first, let's talk about that size criteria. So all that firewood that I use for indoor use, I actually keep in these two wood sheds here. So when I'm first sorting through it, and the piece looks like it's going to be a good one that's going to work just fine inside, I've actually screwed in a board to the side of the woodshed here, marked it with a 12-inch, 16-inch, and 19-inch increment. So all I do is I butt the end of the piece up here against the 2x4, and I can quickly see if this is greater than 19 inches, and then immediately that tells me I need to take that and go stack it in this additional spot that I've put together over here. So as we come around the side of this woodshed here, between the two, we've got these walnut trees here. I can't really put in a roof very easily between the two to try and connect them, even though they're fairly similarly sized because of those trees. So what I've done is just laid down the pallets that you see here, and they actually fit quite well between the two. And so any wood that gets between the 19-inch and 24-inch, I go ahead and lay those here. I can have 2 rows of those. Some that's just a little bit longer I'll let stick out over the side, and these get used for all those different outdoor uses that I mentioned earlier. So as we take a look here at what I brought up just the other day, you can see I've got a lot of wood here that looks fairly nice. I've got pieces that are of a good length here, going to be good stackable sizes. Take those, butt them up against the edge, see that it's under the 19-inch that I want, and I can take those and just continue to add to my stacks here. So we've got good pieces like that we use, but then we've got other pieces that you can see here. This is one that would have been laying on the ground a bit too long, and you can tell even a color difference. This is ash, it's from the same tree as the other, but you can see this one was probably waterlogged a little bit, and this one a lot. So when you're splitting it, chunks will even come off of it. It often won't split straight unless you get it right down the middle. And some stuff that's even worse is over here. So this isn't going to last terribly long, and it's probably going to make a lot of ashes in the wood stove. So this is something that I don't even want to bring inside. It could also be filled with bugs, and I don't want to have that indoors either. So these could be used as campfire wood. Sometimes if it's even worse than this, I'll probably just put it at the bottom of a raised bed in the garden, so that way it can just finish rotting out there and put nutrients in the soil for us. And as we move over, we've got some that are quite a bit smaller here, but this is still nice, good quality looking wood. And as I check it, this is just 12 inches long. So I don't want to mix that into my stacks that I've got here, because the stability of the stack wouldn't be great if I start varying in my length by that much. You could put these at the top. I also put the more awkward pieces, ones that had large knots or look like they might cause the stack to be less stable. I like to put those on the top. But something like this, I've actually made another section for along the side here. So I just took a couple old nasty pallets and just kind of boxed in a section here. And I often toss smaller pieces in here. And it's not terribly organized or sorted, because a lot of these pieces, they're just pretty gross. But the pieces in here that are a little bit nicer, at the very beginning of the season where I need to be pulling in a little bit of firewood before we get too deep into winter. I'll even come out with a 5-gallon bucket and just load up a bunch of these little pieces for just those days where we only need a fire in the morning just to get the house warmed up. And I don't worry too much about getting this covered because I'll either use them for cooking outdoors or I'll use them early in the season when we haven't gotten too much rain yet. So if you guys thought these were good tips, check out my video on gathering up kindling for the winter or my video on cutting up your logs into rounds.